Hello and welcome to the League of Europe GT3 series. We're here at Spa. I can't join the lobby, but as you can see, we're about to start. Here we go. We are about to begin. We've got new driver. Who's on pole? Got a new driver, Honey Badger, on pole position ahead of, that looks like Verstappen, Ton Albanek, Sir Ibo, James Head. Oh, I completely missed the start. I'm apologies. I'm very rusty at the moment. My first commentary in 2 or 3 weeks, but we're back here at Spa, and Honey Badger has already taken a pretty respectable lead after just the first corner, as I'll get all the race info. He's already got a 1 second lead after just La Source, followed by Ton Albanek, James Head, Sir Ibo. He's stayed up in fourth. That's better than he's normally doing at this stage after the first few corners. Palmer looks to be defending from his teammate Chies, who's just ahead of Excel Zudima, new driver. Oh no, it's Ling. Changed his name again. Brilliant. God, he keeps changing his name. It's hard to keep track. But Verstappen all the way down to last after what must have been a pretty poor start. Unfortunately, I won't go to look. But Honey Badger, the second Aston Martin driver, well, the first in this race, but he's currently leading ahead of his, well, effectively his teammate Ton Albanek, who's been pretty unlucky this season, considering he's been on course for multiple podiums. I think he may have got one, but mistakes have cost him. James Head in third, looking for another podium after getting one out in Bathurst. So Ibo doing well in fourth, considering as he's run very wide at Prawn, just as I was about to say, considering he's usually off in a barrier or a grass or some grass or a gravel track somewhere, and he does go off, but he's not crashed, so that's pretty good. My controller battery is low, so I will have to grab a charger soon. Sabo's got a penalty as well, just for added measure, and now he's got off. Why'd you do this to me, Ibo? And now he's last. But that took almost 2 minutes, which is longer than usual. But we've got Honey Badger with a very respectable lead, actually, 2.8 seconds. That's James Head getting past Ton Albanek, and now Ton Albanek is at the... he's being chased down by the two Cymax Motorwork Mercedes-Benz GT3, AMG GT3s right behind him, actually breaking through Blanchimon there, just behind the Aston Martin driver. These three cars definitely the best for the straight line speed, but that's Chies going to go around the outside of the bus stop. Tom right slightly wide, they go side by side, but it looks like Chies is going to get that move, and Palmer might as well. He's pulling alongside the S, and they've both got past the Aston Martin driver. 2 in 1 at that corner for Ton Albanek there. He moves down to 5th. All this is letting Honey Badger and James scamper away. Honey Badger with a very good lead of 3.4 seconds. New driver to the League of Europe. This I don't know if he came in last week. I wasn't here. That is the issue with me not being able to commit to every race this season. I miss out on key moments and results, etc. But Chies is up into third, Palmer fourth. Campbell has just got past Tom as well, chasing down Palmer, who I believe was last week's winner, winning probably a record number this season. Oh, as I completely missed that James Head has been overtaken by Palmer, he's been overtaken by Chies. I need to exit and re-enter, and then I should be able to use my keyboard. I don't know if it's my keyboard that's not working. Maybe my keyboard's just died, because I don't think it was working the other week, was it? That is somewhat annoying, but we will push forward. Let's see all the different strategies. As Chies has actually got some rear right suspension damage, so that is definitely not ideal for someone that is technically fighting for the championship. But I think we all know at this rate that Palmer has pretty much secured it. Honey Badger 6.2 second lead now. It looks like he's walked away with this one so far, but he is on the soft, so only himself, Verstappen and Ibo have not completed their mandatory charge. Well, they've not completed their medium stint, because of course both the softs and the medium tyres are mandatory in this series. As James Head has not given up the fight on Chies yet, as Chies actually pulls into the pits. He comes in early to probably repair that damage. So an early strategy call from Chais, probably forced into it slightly, but also lots of other people coming in on the medium tyres as well, so maybe just not feeling the medium tyres are the ideal choice at the moment. But Honey Badger, look at that, 7.3 seconds ahead of James Head, who's still ahead of Palmer. Palmer hasn't got past him yet, but we're going to ride on board as we come up down towards the compression of Eau Rouge, the left-hander, and then up through Raddy on the right-hander, up onto the Camel Straight, both squirreling their way through the top. But it looks like Palmer's got a much better exit, and he's also got in the slipstream. James goes defensive to the inside, but you would assume that Palmer would be able to make that move before the end of the straight, which he does. James Head tucks in behind him. Both these drivers on the same strategy here, so both fighting for position. Well, of course, they'd always be fighting for position, but it's even more so considering they are on the same tyre choice at the moment. So James not letting it go yet. Very can definitely be quick on his day, can James? Many podiums in the League of Europe GT3 season. I'm not quite sure if he's got a win. I think he might have done last season, but I could definitely be wrong on that. But he's chasing down Palmer, but Palmer at the moment is walking away from James, but this is where the Lexus will be quicker through the fast corners. Not quite as good in the straights, but you would assume it'll be slightly better in the corners. But look at this, 8.1 seconds the lead now from Honey Badger to Palmer. It will take a major slip up or some very poor driving from the new driver, the new Dutch driver, to effectively lose this win. But it is Palmer. He is the current championship leader by a long shot, so you can never rule him out of a win, even when he is 8.6 seconds behind. QVR Verstappen is actually racing with his teammate QVR Campbell. We're going to go on board with Chais here. Mercedes against two Toyotas. Mercedes definitely the quicker car in the straight line. Are we going to see some team tactics from Verstappen and Campbell here? Is Verstappen going to let his teammate through and try and hold up the likes of Chais? No, it looks like they are holding position for now. Chais maybe looks a little bit late up the inside of the first section of the bus stop chicane, but he does not go for the move and he slips in behind. James Head and Palmer are both pitted. It's going to be interesting to see the battle continue between those two. But Chais, again, thinking about a move up into the inside of the source. He knows he's got the pace, but he's also got to know that he's got to bide his time. And they're going to come out just behind. James is coming out just behind Campbell and Verstappen, it looks like. So he's the big loser out of that one. Palmer's got out just ahead, so that's pretty much perfect for him. But Verstappen is going to have a great run through Eau Rouge. As Palmer touches the grass slightly, he's going to cut Eau Rouge. Radion, apologies. And we've now got effectively a five-car battle. James Head is slightly out of it. We've got definitely a four-car battle for the lead going into Les Combes. Is anyone going to make a move? Verstappen's looking around the outside of the right-hander. He sticks it there. Palmer runs slightly wide, and they go side by side. But Verstappen makes it through. Is Palmer going to look up the inside? He doesn't, but he gets a squirrely exit down towards Rivage. And that is Verstappen into the lead, and Campbell following him through. So the two QVR drivers are in P1 and 2 in this race, and Chais looks to be going around the outside of Palmer. He's going to have the inside for no name, but he backs out of it. Very difficult to overtake there, and we've now got a five-car battle. Well, it's not the lead. Of course, it's not the lead. So you're seeing Campbell at the front, Campbell and Palmer at the front, but it is actually Honey Badger way in the lead of this race. So this is actually the battle for second. We've got 5 cars battling for P2. Now again, is Verstappen going to let Campbell through? No, he backs off. But he's still under pressure from Palmer, who's looking much quicker through this section. Chais right behind them as well. James Head definitely not out of it either, but you would say he's certainly not the favourite. As what happened, there are lots of lag going on for Palmer there. Something definitely wrong with his connection, or someone's connection to him. And Palmer lagging all over the place. James Head right on the back of Chais. So all these cars separated by less than a second, but Verstappen's got actually a healthy lead. Well, he wouldn't normally be healthy, but compared to the rest of the leads around him, that's pretty healthy. Campbell following him in the slipstream. Verstappen runs slightly wide at Blanchimont, but Campbell probably saving some fuel. He's not going for any moves. He's definitely backing off behind his teammate, who is slower at this point in the race on slightly older tyres, 1 or 2 lap older. But is anyone going for a move? James Head looking up the inside of the source. He gets a poor exit though, loses the back end as the corner dips so much into the apex. It's going to be hard. It's definitely hard to get the power down. And James has got front damage, and Chise has got rear damage. So there's been contact between those two. Expect a stewards report after the race. Luckily, we still have a 3-car battle going on. Is Campbell going to go for the move? It looks like he is. He's running around the outside of his teammate Q Verstappen. Is Verstappen going to now try and hold up SMM Palmer? Campbell into net P2. Verstappen holding position, and he does stay ahead of SMM Palmer, holding on to that 3rd place, and he is now going to be tasked with the job of holding off the championship leader in that incredibly fast Mercedes-Benz. Is he going to be able to do it? Honey Badger with a 20-second lead. Of course, he hasn't pitted yet, but he's going long. He's going to long out this stint as long as he possibly can. Now it's going to be interesting to see what's happened to James. I can't believe my keyboard's not working. That is a bit strange. So apologies that I won't be able to go back on any replays like I am used to. But Palmer now looking up the inside of the second part of Puon on Kvyat Verstappen. Those fresher softs really coming into play now. And of course the extra grunt of that Mercedes AMG GT3. But this is where the Toyota will be strong through the technical sectors. But we're coming up to one of the longest flat out zones on the track. Palmer right on the gearbox of Kvyat Verstappen. Oh no, it's actually not on the gearbox. Gearbox will be in the front. But he's right on that rear diffuser of Verstappen. He's going to look towards the outside, which then becomes the inside for Blanchimont. He's looking for that move. He's got the straight line speed. He's going to have the inside line open into Blanchimont. Is Verstappen going to be able to hold it? No, he doesn't. Is he going to go and switch back to try and make a move up into the bus stop chicane? I don't think so. He got a very poor run through Blanchimont, and he settles down into 4th position now. Looking at Chise, Zadima and James Head behind her, and Ton Avernock not too far behind him. So Ibo, the only driver that's really not really with a shout of a podium place. You don't know who's going to get the podium here at all, really. You know that, well, you assume that Honey Badger is definitely going to be on there for the 20-second lead he has at the moment. And then it's between Campbell, Palmer, Verstappen, Chise, Zadima. James Head slightly further behind, but definitely not out of it, with Ton Avernock just behind him. So we've effectively got a 7-car battle for the podium positions. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see who ends up on the podium, and if Honey Badger can keep on to that top step. As Ton Avernock has made his way past James Head. Any other overtakes going on? Palmer looking to hunt down Campbell, but Campbell's got a pretty healthy lead of 1.5 seconds. Zadima not too far off the wounded Chise with that rear damage. James Head obviously struggling with that front damage. He'll be understeering quite a lot. But it is Verstappen. What is the closest battle going on at the moment? It looks like it is Zadima on the... Oh, actually, no. James Head has made his way back past Ton Avernock. Apologies for missing that. But now James Head back up to 7th. Even with that front end damage, Ton Avernock down to 8th. Zadima only half a second away from Chise. It's going to be interesting to see if with that rear damage, Chise is going to be able to hold on. His 2nd time he's got damage in this race, probably through no fault of his own, considering it looks like James had front damage, so there was obviously an instant between those two. But Zadima's got a great run now down towards Blanchimont. He's going to probably be past him even before the corner. He moves to the outside. And it looks like he's going to be ahead. Yes, he is. Chise sticks back in behind. Is he going to make a move? He's got a pretty decent run through Blanchimont. He's in the slipstream. He's looking towards the inside. Is he going to back out of it? He goes for it. Makes a half-hearted move. Makes it a full-hearted move. But he pulls into the pit lane probably to fix that damage once again. Ton Avernock has got once again past James Head, who pulls into the pit lane. But Campbell's pulled away quite a lot from Palmer. I was speaking to Campbell earlier today before the race, and he felt pretty confident. He said that this is a track that he feels Palmer struggles at. So he, well, struggles for Palmer. So that's probably still one of the top drivers in the field, as he's very, very squirrely through Radion. But as I was saying, Campbell obviously feeling confident here tonight that he can get a solid result and try and claw back some of that points deficit to our championship leader, who's definitely within touching distance of the title. Welcome back everyone. As we return from a quick break, we have Honey Badger into the pit lane on those soft tyres that he's taken for incredibly long, but look at those consistent lap times, consistently doing 2-minute 17s. Very consistent consistent lap times, and that is why he had a 20-second lead, albeit minus a pit stop. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Campbell, who's been on those fresher softs for a lot longer. He is going to come out ahead, it looks like. And he's going to come out side by side with Palmer. He's going to slip in just behind. He's going to have the slipstream, but it's going to be difficult for him to catch back up. But he is now in P3, but he's got a full look at the fuel difference. He is only 2.5 seconds off the lead on the medium tyres, so he will be slightly slower and full tank of fuel. But he's got a full tank of fuel, whereas Campbell and Palmer both only have a quarter each. So that is very interesting to see. It looks like Honey Badger still is a command as he runs quite deep into the first part of Le Combe and loses the back end. He just needs to keep it calm on those medium tyres. They're going to be a struggle. They're going to be much less grippy than those soft tyres. But he just needs to keep it calm. He's got the advantage. He's got much more fuel, so he's going to save a lot of time in the pit stops. And now he is serving. He's now effectively served his mandatory stop as Campbell and Palmer and the rest of the drivers have as well. As Honey Badger getting a half-second penalty, so it looks like not quite used to these medium tyres just yet, but he has caught up to Palmer quite a lot. Maybe that half-second that he gained has really helped him. As we're going to go on board, we've got the driver's eye view. He's looking up. He's going to maybe make a move up into the inside of Blanchimont. He goes to the inside. They're going to be just side by side. He backs out of it, but that's going to slow Palmer down as well as him. He's looking maybe to make a move up into the bus stop chicane. No, he thinks better of it, backs out of it. Playing the patient game as Palmer now pulls into the pits. He's got a new challenger. He's got someone that can actually compete with him this season. Of course, Campbell on his day this season has been incredibly quick as well, but obviously not getting on with that Toyota with these fixed setups too much. Of course, last season's champion, everyone in the same car. We know that Campbell is an exceptional driver in this league. But obviously not all clicking for him this season, but we've now got a very exciting new challenger in Honey Badger, who's seeming to make a big impression on what I believe is his debut to the League of Europe GT3 series. Yes, I can confirm that this is Honey Badger's first race TTG. I believe he's actually new to Gran Turismo Sport as well. So the TTG esports driver. Who I believe is incredibly new to Gran Turismo Sport. So this makes it even more impressive that he is absolutely dominating the field on his debut. Very, very impressive stuff from the TTG driver on his debut, and I believe it's his debut GT Sport race. So Palmer 3.9. This is a very interesting battle we've got going on here. Well, Zadima is just behind Palmer. He's obviously done his favoured undercut move as Chais has left the room. A rage quit, an uncharacteristic rage quit from the Sidemax Motorworks driver. He won't be happy with that, but I'm sure Sidemax themselves may have a few words, but I'm sure they'll also be relatively understanding, considering that it looked like Chais had got pretty unlucky with the damage that he'd received. Once got rear suspension damage, the other time got rear aero damage. So understandable, but also very uncharacteristic for the likes of Chais, who has had bad races in the past and hasn't quit. So very surprising in my view, but the field is starting to spread out quite. Sorry I'm flicking through the camera angle so much. I'm not used to commentating using a controller. As of course I normally use the keyboard, but for some reason, unbeknownst to me, it is not working. But the other Sidemax Motorworks driver, Esteban Palmer, he's currently in P4, net P3, sorry, behind Campbell and his teammate Verstappen, who is due a pit stop. That is for sure with that fuel level. So the field has spread out pretty significantly now. Got the first comment on the stream, so I'll take a look. I'm betting it's going to be Sharon. Who's it going to be? Ah, it's Chais. Oh, his Wi-Fi stopped. So it's not Sharon. Ah, that is a shame. But we've got Chais in the comments saying his Wi-Fi cut out. Unlucky, mate. No, I was going to say it would be very strange for the Sidemax driver to quit. That is very out of character for him. So it does make sense that it was not, in fact, a rage quit or anything like that. It was an innocent Wi-Fi disconnect. We did see some lag. It might have been from him earlier on, so that could have been something to do with it. We've got another comment in the stream. Chais, where is Sharon? Where is Sharon? That is the question. We need Sharon in here. That's why Palmer's only in third. It's because Sharon is not in the comments. Supporting Palmer. He needs some support, Sharon. Come on, I know you must be watching, surely. We've got 5 viewers, so one of them has to be Sharon. He needs some support. He's 14 seconds behind the leader at the moment and got less fuel, so he definitely needs some support. Chais saying there is a lot of lag throughout the whole lobby. That is understandable. I did definitely see some earlier. It's been pretty decent in the most part, as Zadima is now right on the back of Palmer. Palmer may be making a mistake there. He's now 5 and a bit seconds behind Campbell, who's catching up slowly to Honey Badger. but at the same time, he's got half the fuel effectively. So you would assume that Honey Badger has this in the bag, barring any mistakes. Touch wood. It would be excellent for him to win on his debut. Oh, we have got a close battle going on here, as Verstappen is right on the back of Ton Albanek, who's on much older, more worn tyres. This, of course, being Verstappen's outlap out of the pits after just changing onto brand new, fresh, soft tyres. He's looking towards the outside of Blanchimont, but that Aston Martin with that V12 engine in the front of it, so powerful in a straight line, it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to overtake it. But Verstappen's going to have the pressure tyres. He's going to go late on the brakes, round the outside of the first part of the bus stop. No, he doesn't. He backs out of it, but Ton Albanek goes too deep, and he has to take to the escape road, and he is now out of that battle. Still in the race, of course, but he is dropping way behind. He's lost a good 2 seconds in that entanglement with Verstappen. Campbell slowly but surely catching Honey Badger, but as I've said, Honey Badger has that advantage of much more fuel than anyone else on the field, apart from Verstappen, but he is an extra pit stop. Well, he's on the same... Well, he's 22 seconds behind Honey Badger, effectively, and he's just pitted, so... Sir Ibo hasn't been lapped yet, so that's always good. Always a good job when he hasn't been lapped as we're nearing the halfway stage. Definitely one of our most improved drivers. Still got a lot of room to work with, but has improved a lot. I'm not even joking. He has improved quite a lot since the beginning of the season. But still room to improve, as there is with any driver. Apart from Honey Badger, it seems, at the moment, who is dominating this race. Still got a 7.5 second lead. That will come down on those older tyres with more fuel. Harder tyres. But of course, that gap will re-extend after the next batch of pit stops. So, Ton Albanek just pulling into the pits now. QVR Campbell still reeling in Honey Badger. Palmer 6 seconds behind his championship rival, Campbell. Let me check the standings, see if anyone can take the fight to Palmer as we approach the end of the season. So it looks like after this race, as it stands, as long as Campbell gets some points, because he's only 1 point behind Chise at the moment, Campbell will move into second in the championship and claw back some of the gap to Palmer. But 60-point gap with 140 points remaining. So it's definitely not over yet. 140 points remaining, 61-point gap. That's going to come down slightly after today. You'd expect by either 3 or 5 points, depending on where they finish. But effectively, he needs to be outscoring Palmer by 15 or more points every race, which does not look particularly likely. What have I missed? Oh, that's Verstappen. I was looking at Verstappen. Oh god, that would have been awkward. I thought I completely missed Palmer somehow getting past Campbell, but no, I was looking at the second QVR driver, Verstappen, who's doing a very respectable job up in P4 at the time being. So Campbell, like I say, could get it done. 62 points, sorry. But yes, he needs to be averaging a 15-point advantage at every race towards the end of the season, as both the drivers come into the pits now. So Palmer, just make some mistakes, why don't you? Why don't you give the others a chance? 61-point gap. He's won a staggering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 8 races so far. That is an unbelievable record for the Cymox Motorworks driver. His worst finish being P4. Yes, his worst finish being P4, and that was at Nürburgring. Second worst finish being second. Hasn't got a third this season. He's only got a win, a second and a fourth. That's all he's got. As we return to the action, we see Ton Albanak battling away with who he seems to be glued to for this entire race, James Head. He's going to have a great run through Eau Rouge and then up through Adion. He runs slightly wide, so he's not going to get the exit he would have wanted, but he's going to be in that slipstream with that all-powerful V12 engine in the back of that Aston Martin V12 Vantage. He's going to look to the inside of Lecom. We ride off board. He's going to make a move. Yes, he does on those fresher tyres, and he makes a move up into P6 of this race. Palmer looking to make a move up on the inside of Verstappen, which he does. Relatively simple, nice move there into Rivage from the Cymox Motorworks driver, chasing down Zadima, who's obviously jumped him again with that undercut strategy, but he's going to have to pit on this lap. But he's now got, Palmer's got about an 8.5 second gap to Campbell. And there has been a huge mistake. I have done the commentator's curse. That is huge. absolutely huge. Honey Badger, engine damage, front suspension damage. He's absolutely bottled it. He has absolutely... Unfortunately, Honey Badger, that is a big boy bottle. That is a huge, huge moment in this race. Campbell is even going to overtake him before he ends up in the pit lane. And Campbell is going to be the net leader of this race. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is... I can't believe he's done it. That is what a lack of experience on this game will do to you. It will screw you. This being his first race. Campbell, Honey Badger into the pits now. This is going to be hugely, hugely detrimental to him now. He was so in command of this race. A 20-second lead, which was effectively a 10-second lead after pit stops. But that is ridiculous. That is an absolutely huge moment in this race, as Honey Badger has potentially and very likely completely bottled a win on his debut. That would have been a fairy tale story on his first race of this season, but it was not to be. He could, if he's lucky, still finish ahead of Palmer, so he could get a respectable P2, and he should probably still get a podium. But wow, that was very, very, very unexpected. And what a fall from grace, as he's gone from P1 all the way down to P5. 26 seconds. The roles have been reversed between him and Campbell. He is now 26 seconds behind the leader. He's on the softs now. He's going to have to make a charge to try and make up all that time that he lost. He's not going to be able to make up all the time after that huge spin and engine damage, which cost him all the way back to the pit lane. But that is a massive moment in this race, and Campbell is now your net leader with Palmer in second. It is now a one-horse race effectively, but we said that before about Honey Badger, and he completely cost himself the win, and now Campbell could technically do the same, but he has got a 7.1 second leader to the closest car behind him, but he has got about almost just over half the amount of fuel, so it's definitely not over yet. It's definitely not going to be down to a mistake. Obviously, if a mistake does occur, that will play a big role, but it's not over yet. Palmer isn't relying on a mistake is what I mean, considering Campbell has a lot more fuel in his car at the moment. Son Albanak looking on course here for a possible podium, but you would probably bet that Honey Badger will take that final spot. He could even take P2 if he, well, unlucky or lucky, whichever way you look at it. Verstappen actually holding the fastest lap as well at the moment, so that's a pretty unexpected, but that's a good showing of the progress that he's made in this race and in this series. Another driver who is pretty new to GT Sport, mainly focuses on F1 2019, well, last year F1 2019, this season F1 2020. Very, very skilled driver, uses the pad on F1 but uses, I believe, a wheel on GT. So definitely interesting to see how those skills transfer across. Probably not as much as he would like those skills. Of course, he is one of the top drivers on the F1 game, especially in League of Europe, PSGL, I believe, many other top tier racing leagues on the F1 game, but not still doing a very respectable job this season, but not as high up in the championship as he maybe would have hoped, considering he did so well in the Division 2 last season. So blue flags are being shown. I'm guessing that's for Ibo. Not sure who that would quite be for. But Honey Badger not making really as much progress as he would like. He hasn't been able to get past Verstappen. That the exit speed and the handling of that Toyota really coming in and bailing Verstappen out of what would be a pretty easy overtake in normal circumstances with the power of that V12 Aston Martin. I believe that Sir Ibo actually has turned ABS off. I believe that's partly why his tyre wear is so bad. So Ibo, if you are watching this back, turn your ABS to default, please. It will help you so much. It's the ABS on this game, or the lack of ABS when you turn it off. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty impossible to use to drive this game without ABS, unless you're a very, very seasoned driver. So if you're watching this back, or if anyone wants to tell them who's watching this, tell them to turn ABS off, back on. As Ibo still not past Verstappen, so Verstappen doing a pretty decent job of holding on the Honey Badger here. With his, as you see in the bottom of that screen there, his social media tags on his bonnet. Always got to plug TTG and himself. But Campbell now in command of this race. Last season champion with the gold helmet on. Doing a sterling job here tonight. Capitalising on that huge mistake. But now Palmer, not Palmer, Honey Badger looking up the inside of Eau Rouge, and what a move that was. That was an excellent move from the Honey Badger, who's now up into P3. 16 seconds behind Palmer, 24 seconds behind Campbell, so it will be a difficult task for him to improve on his current position. As I say that, Verstappen looking up the inside of Lecombe, but Honey Badger just holds on to that position. Great battle between these two now. Verstappen sniffs that podium. He wants that position. He's going to look up the inside. Is he going to look up to the other side into Rivage? No, he backs out of it, and that is Honey Badger up into P3 for the time being. Verstappen with a whiff of his first podium of the season. He'll be desperate for it. It's definitely not over yet. They're on about the same strategy, or the same age tyres, but Verstappen has about half the fuel, so you would assume that after the pit stops, their next stop, that it would be Honey Badger that comes out on top anyway. Campbell comes into the pits now. Palmer still with that fuel advantage. He's going to go for an overcut on the QBR driver, who you'd assume would be heading towards the end of the race on this stint now. He's going to refuel. Honey Badger has a penalty. He's pulled away slightly from QBR Verstappen, who's had a poor lap there, maybe, of course, due to that battling he had with Honey Badger. James Head and Anton Albanac still not massively far apart. Just want to check here if Sir Ibo does have ABS off. I believe I've seen him lock up a few times, and his tyre wear would also suggest that. Yeah, if you look at that front right on the bottom left corner, he was obviously heating up that right front, locking up slightly. So Ibo, turn ABS back on. He might be a bit quicker. I might really, it will definitely make the game a lot easier, as I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but of course he has struggled a lot this season. But it would be good to see him maybe try some different things and work his way up the grid in the final few races of the season. Maybe hold on to that excellent starting position he always has, being towards the back end of the championship standings. So Campbell only 8.2 seconds behind SMM Palmer. Honey Badger not too far, but Verstappen has caught up again. So Honey Badger obviously having a pretty poor lap this time round. As Verstappen runs very wide out of Stabilo 2, and that's going to put off any chance of a move for the time being, but definitely not through a lack of pace for the QBR driver, as now Palmer comes into the pit. So it's going to be interesting to see the difference between him and Campbell now. Campbell, of course, already making his pit stop. Palmer not even in his pit box yet, but he's going to come in now, change his tyres and put some more fuel in. So it'll be interesting to see, as it looks like Campbell is still going to have a pretty commanding lead with that undercut. So he's coming through the source now, and he's already up and away out of the pit lane. Is Palmer going to come out ahead of Honey Badger? That is the question. Looks like Honey Badger, Verstappen and Ling are all coming out ahead of Palmer. If I can click on him. No, I can't for some reason. There we go. So he's down in 5th place. He's lost time. I think that undercut really cost him there. Overcut, apologies. And that is Honey Badger in P2. Just ahead of Verstappen, who's still in with a shadow of a podium, but he's got a server penalty. That's going to probably put Ling ahead of him as he dives around the outside into LeCom. No, not quite on the cards there, but he has really caught up to the back of Verstappen, who I don't think is really in with a shout. I think the podium will be Campbell, Honey Badger and Palmer. I'm not quite sure the order. I'm pretty sure, barring any mistakes like Honey Badger did, Campbell will be the winner of this race. Doesn't look like Honey Badger is going to have to pit again, but his tyres will be dying of death towards the end of this race. So Ibo runs wide to let the lapping car through. So, with approximately 6 laps remaining, Palmer is only 4.9 seconds behind Honey Badger, who's on much older and much more worn tyres. So you would assume that Palmer will be able to get that move done before the end of the race. If I was Honey Badger, I would probably pit now and not truck, because I think it's going to be pretty impossible to hold on these tyres. And of course, you lose so little time without refuelling in a GT Sport pit stop. It is probably worthwhile changing your tyres now before Palmer gets too close, and then having the fresher tyres towards the end. But what do I know? I'm just a commentator, and I drive and I lose as well. So Campbell in the lead of this race with a commanding 11-second lead. But he hasn't got anywhere near as much fuel as Honey Badger or Palmer. So that's very, very, very interesting. He may actually have to pit again. Wow, that would definitely be something if he had to pit again. That would really throw the cat amongst the pigeons. So yeah, I have no idea who's going to win now. I thought I did, Campbell, but you've bloody ruined it, because you haven't refueled enough, it doesn't look like, and you probably have to pit again. Why'd you do this to me? While there is a slight lull in the action, as my controller is very nearly dead, so hopefully it holds on just for a little while, I'm going to add Honey Badger as a friend. assuming he will be on the podium. Is it TTG, Honey Badger? I think it's, yes, Honey Badger 15. So I have added Honey Badger as a friend, assuming he'll be on the podium. He hasn't pitted this lap, so it looks like he's going to stay out and try and hold on to the end. Definitely a brave call with 4 or 5 laps remaining. I think 5. Definitely a ballsy call. He should have secured P3 at least, because Tom Abanak is significantly further behind and also a pit stop behind. Looks like Verstappen may get his season best finish of P4. Not entirely out of shout for a podium, but you would assume that's probably not quite on the cards. No particularly close battle going on, as there we go, Campbell does indeed pull into the pit lane. Looks like Honey Badger's really lifting and coasting. I'm not quite sure why that is. You'd assume he's got enough fuel to make it to the end, although he does have quite a bit less than Palmer, so maybe he is saving fuel. So where is Campbell going to come out? Is the cat going to be thrown amongst the pigeons? Is he going to come out? It looks like he's going to come out very close. He's going to come out just behind. He's going to come out ahead of Palmer, but Palmer's going to have a run on him down towards Lecombe. So we've now got a 3-way fight for the lead. This is going to be very interesting. You would assume Campbell is definitely the favourite at the moment, and you'd probably have to put Palmer in that same bracket. But Palmer may be able to. If I was Palmer, I would just stick behind Campbell now. I wouldn't want to battle him too much. Don't do it, Palmer. He's looking around the outside. He's going to try and make it stick. No room to make a move there. You don't want to cost either of your time, Palmer. You've got to focus on getting past Honey Badger. Campbell's on those fresh tyres. He's going to be quicker than you at this stage. I'm sorry to break it to you. He's going to be quicker on those fresh tyres. You've just got to focus on getting Honey Badger, who is on incredibly old tyres. And fuel saving as well. Don't forget, he is on much less fuel than the other two. He's lifting and coasting all the way around and saving his tyres. Gap now only 2 seconds. You'd assume that Campbell would have to get this move done pretty soon. We will ride on board with him once he gets closer. Any other battles going on track? Verstappen running slightly wide at No Name. But apart from that, Sir Ibo pretty far behind anyone else. But still bringing on those points home for the Lexus team. 7th and 8th, better than no points at all. So respect to Ivo for carrying on, even though he's I believe he may have finished last every race, but definitely I definitely respect to him for carrying on and continuing, trying to improve. Definitely has made a lot of progress since the beginning of the season. Honey Badger's gap to Campbell is now only 1 second with 3 laps remaining. It's going to be very close. I think Campbell will get this move done probably on this lap, if I'm honest. Gap now already down to 0.6 of a second. But the interesting battle is going to be Palmer. He's got 3 seconds to catch up, 2.5 seconds, 3 laps to catch up, 2.5 seconds, and make an overtake. as Honey Badger is now only, he's less than a tenth ahead, and Campbell already ahead. Great run he must have had through Eau Rouge and Radion, and he is now into the lead. But Honey Badger won't be bothered too much by that. He's just got to stick behind him and focus on staying ahead of Palmer now. He's got his damage limitation from this stage forward. He's got to focus on staying ahead of the Cymax Mercedes. Palmer not making as much progress as he would have liked. He'll be really want to be right on the back of Honey Badger right now, but his tyres will be entering their sort of final phase as well. But obviously, look at the difference. I'll just flick between them here. Look at the difference in those tyres, especially the left-hand side tyres. Of course, this being a clockwise track, the left-hand tyres are going to get significantly more wear than your right-hand side tyres. Verstappen doing a very good job up in P4, but he is not safe from XL Zedima right behind him. I'm probably completely butchering that name. Sorry, Dan. But Campbell now obviously on course for a victory here. He needs Honey Badger to stay ahead of Palmer and make that increase a 10-point advantage after this race. Well, a 10-point advantage gain from this race. Palmer only 0.6 of a second behind Honey Badger. 0.5, 0.4. He's getting closer. Is he going to be able to make a move? He's got a great run, and he's got the grunt of that Mercedes versus the sheer power of that Aston Martin. He's going to look up the inside of Les Combes. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Is it going to be the Honey Badger like it is in real life? Daniel Ricciardo. He holds it up the inside of the second part, but those tyres just can't hold on. He's basically running on the rims of those tyres, of those wheels, and he drops down into third place, which he should have secured. He's got a 16-second gap. He's just got to bring it on home now. Damage limitation, respectable comeback after that huge accident that cost him the win here. Still going to get a podium on his debut. Still very, very respectable indeed. So it looks like this will probably be the finishing order now, barring any mistakes. Ugh. That was a pretty good race in the end, wasn't it? Well, of course, it's not over yet. There still could be a mistake from Campbell on this lap. But we'll give a little rundown of the race, of course. Honey Badger had that commanding lead at the beginning. 20 seconds it got up to at one point. But a huge mistake, which I believe was Bruxelles, that he made a huge mistake, hit the wall, and cost him his win. Unfortunately for him, and he's now 11.5 seconds behind the leader, and he should be 11.5 seconds ahead, really. So I'm sure he will be fuming with himself, but he's got to take a podium on his debut. But Should have been a win, but it does happen to the best of us, I'm afraid, Honey Badger. Everyone bottles it sometimes. It's not just a you thing. I'm sure there'll be plenty more opportunities this season for you to get that much-deserved win that you had, well, that you should have had today. As Palmer runs very wide there, that could have been that was very close to an accident and promoting Honey Badger back up into P2. But we're on the final lap now. Campbell coming through Brussels. We'll ride on board with him for the last part of this lap, just taking it easy. Doesn't want to run out of fuel. Obviously timing that pretty well to be in the red. Palmer not even in the red yet. Honey Badger, like we thought, is really saving fuel. So Verstappen, push mate, push. Honey Badger's really got to save fuel. He's almost out. So Honey Badger, after all that, maybe didn't put enough fuel in. Look how much he's lifting and coasting now. I thought it was all over. Verstappen's caught up a second in approximately 5 seconds of running. So this is not over yet. Now the gap is 6.6 seconds. Look at that fuel level. He is really limping home. Verstappen only 5 seconds behind. Let's ride on board with him. Is Honey Badger going to come into view? It's only 5.8 seconds. Campbell will switch to him quickly. He comes across the line. The Flying Scotsman takes an excellent win here at Spa. Palmer will come in home second. Verstappen only 5 seconds behind Honey Badger now. Is he going to run out of fuel? Look at that. I've never seen such a small amount of fuel apart from someone running out. Is he going to run out across the line? It looks like he's just going to be safe. Is he going to run out? Looks like he's just going to make it across the line. Wow, that was close. Only 3 seconds ahead of QVR Verstappen at the end. A very, very good result for the second QVR driver in fourth. XL Zuidema, I'm going to guess that's his name. I'm really sorry for butchering it. In fifth. Ton Albanat comes home in sixth, and that will be James Head home in seventh position. So I will just invite the podium sitters to an interview. Campbell, Palmer, and Honey Badger, if I can find him. He hasn't accepted my friend request. Maybe I can invite him through here. I will invite him as well. No, I don't want to go on the TV and video app. Thank you, PlayStation. So we'll wait for the podium sitters to join the party. So Campbell has joined. We'll just wait to see if the other two joins. If not, we'll crack on. Palmer's in. Not sure if Honey Badger's going to join. I have invited him, but Campbell, since you're friends with him, could you send him another invite?
Yep, will do.
So while we're waiting for Honey Badger, we may as well start off with Palmer. It's not a win. How does it feel?
Not too bad, to be honest, because I did have some good battles. But in the end, yeah, of course, you know, the Toretto's way too fast. I mean, the fact that it can go flat out up a Rouge and
yeah, blame the car, blame the car.
But yeah, of course, you know, Campbell also did a fantastic job, and this time at least the QVR team tactics worked. but yeah, I'm not too sad about it. Obviously, I mean, of course, you know, in Bathurst, of course, I sounded quite dreary after my win, but yeah, not really much to say. I mean, it was quite a boring second after the race. Of course, I had to get past Honey Badger, which was quite eventful. But I really did try to get back ahead of Campbell at the pit stop. Well, after the last pit stop, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. Campbell put up a really good defence. Well, it wasn't really much of a challenge since, of course, I was on like 4-lap old tyres then. But yeah, I mean, congrats to Campbell, obviously. of course, it's, or is it Laguna Seca next?
Believe so.
I
Yes.
think. So, yeah, I'm not sure how the Mercedes will go around there.
For that I
Or
believe
like,
would be another track suited to the Toyota. So
damn. Well,
Campbell's done the calendars with all the Toyota suited tracks towards the end. Try and reel it back.
Except Le Mans.
Except Le Mans.
Well, I mean that track doesn't really have any long straights in that. So if I do keep ahead, then hopefully I can.
I thought you meant Le Mans then.
Defend. Yeah, Le Mans going to be another challenge, and of course you've got Catalunya, which is another track that the Toyota likes.
See all these dirty QVR tactics, putting all those Toyota tracks towards the end of the season. Give
What else
us,
do you expect?
yes, give us something to look forward to. But with that, doesn't look like Honey Badger's joining the party. He's still in the room, so I don't know if he sort of just left his PlayStation on and and walked off in a rage, in a strop after a huge bottle, I've got to say. But I'll stop ripping into him now, and I'll move on to QVR Campbell, who has taken the win here tonight. Oh, he has joined. As I've just called him a bottler, he's joined. So, Honey Badger, what happened?
That's a good question. The first ever race on GT Sports, like a competitive one. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not too disappointed. It's pretty decent.
Yes, a podium on your debut would definitely be an achievement for any driver, but of course it obviously is made bittersweet by the fact that you did have that huge lead at the start of the race.
Yeah, it's just on the second stint I just lost it. Like, I think it was half an hour in the race, just over. I just lost it on the exit of I don't even know which corner it was, but yeah, that wrecked my race pretty much.
Well, definitely put on a good show for us towards the end after deciding to stay out on those incredibly worn tyres. But it was
more the fuel that I was worried about.
Yes, and of course, and the fuel at the end as well. I did think Verstappen may have got his first podium of the season, but a podium on your debut, you can't be too unhappy with that. But we'll move on to our race winner tonight, QVR Campbell, Flying Scotsman. How was it for you today?
A much needed bounce back to the top of the podium. It's been good, on the podium the last couple of races, but losing points to Palmer constantly, it's not going to help if there's going to be any sort of a last minute charge for a title. Still looks slim. I can't lie, there's uphill climbs in there's this, but I'll give it a shot, and it's not a bad way to start it.
No, definitely not. Did you? How surprised were you when you saw that Aston Martin's gap go from 20 seconds to about half a second as he pulled into the pits?
Well, I kind of knew that there was a mistake because the whole lobby was in the one party, so I heard there was a few explicits let out, and I came round and seen the gap dropping quite substantially, so that was a bit of a sigh of relief. I think in the end it would have been really close, going off the gap before the stops and what it was at the end. Part of me wishes that we had that slight maybe fight at the end, but then again, I need
a win is a win.
Sort of,
a win is a win.
I need the. I'm glad I could secure the points, which is, as I say, badly needed.
Yeah, only a 55 odd point gap now towards the end of the season. Still in grass. There's I believe 105 points remaining, so it's not totally out of the question. But you're going to have to be on top form to take that title away from Palmer. But great race here tonight at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll move on to Laguna Seca next week, where hopefully the Toyotas will put up a fight against the Mercedes, and maybe the Aston Martins will be up there too. But for now, we'll see you next week.